So let's get to our first presenter. He is John Williamson, Executive Director and founder of Food Rescue and K-12 Food Rescue, doing great work in Indiana and a lot of great consulting to interested schools all over the country. So John, please take it away.
I appreciate that, Jimmy, and thanks for inviting Melissa, Maria, and I to present today, and welcome to everyone who's joined us. When talking about school food recovery, there are two fundamental discussions. One is, how do you persuade a school district to adopt school food recovery policies? And, of course, the other is how you go about implementing them. Our website at foodrescue.net has resources available on our Getting Started link regarding how to implement a school food recovery program. So I'm instead going to use my time today to really discuss the finer points of selling and presenting the idea of K-12 food rescue to your school district. So let's get started here. School food waste definitions. Number one will be back at the cafeteria waste, items that simply never get served, such as buns, warm spaghetti, or baked apples, etc. And then the second one is student tray to trash waste, unopened and unpeeled items that should be donated rather than placed into landfills. Things like milk, juice, packaged peanut butter and jelly, sandwiches, crackers, chips, unpeeled and uncut fruit items. And, of course, things that you compost, such as a half-eaten sandwich, apple, or pizza slice. So our focus today is student tray to trash waste, not back of the cafeteria waste and composting. Those are important issues, but it's not going to be my focus today. It's really going to be all about selling and presenting K-12 food rescue to your school district. So the Richard Russell National School Lunch Act was amended to encourage school food recovery in November of 2011, and school districts seem largely unaware of this very recent policy change. And protections provided by the 1996 Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Food Donation Act have been clarified to include K-12 schools, and we can thank Virginia Senator Frank Wolf for that amendment. There is lots of information on the Emerson Act. I'm not going to spend my time talking about that too much, but it provides legal protections for schools to donate their food. So, and restaurants as well. So there are historic guidelines in Indiana. Our Indiana State Department of Health and Indiana State Department of Education, in collaboration with Food Rescue, wrote and published food recovery guidelines for donating unopened and unpeeled food items from the trays of students in 2015. Food Rescue does not believe there are any other state guidelines in America from government agencies for food donations specifically for tray-to-trash, unopened and unpeeled food items from the trays of students. And there's a link at the bottom that I'm going to be referring to quite a bit, that's the open letter to schools that you can find all of this information in the presentation as well. So Jimmy's kind of hit on this a little bit. But do we have government support? When you're trying to convince a school district to begin, it is relevant that both the USDA and the EPA do support school food recovery, and we provide those links on the open letter to schools on the link below. So how many unopened and unpeeled food items are wasted each year in American schools from the trays of students? Well, we estimate that it's 1 billion food items per year and 60 items per day. And you say, well, where do you get those statistics? We have 54 schools of our 341 that submitted hard data to us for various times during the school year of how much they waste. And I will just tell you that we have one school that wastes 500 items per day and others waste between 100 to 200 items per day. So we are very confident in our projection of 60 items per day as a conservative figure of how much food gets wasted in our schools that's unpeeled and unopened. And again, those links and stats are on the open letter to schools. So what about milk and dairy and PHF, potentially hazardous food? The Harvard Food Law and Policy Clinic that Jimmy talked about recently submitted a revealing video and study that demonstrates the safety of donated milk and dairy products. And that study found that milk should last 21 to 24 days because it's pasteurized. It should not contain pathogenic bacteria such as Salmonella or E. coli. It also showed the risks from drinking spoiled milk are virtually zero. Misunderstood and confusing rules and labeling standards play a role in a lot of milk being wasted. For example, in Montana, milk cannot be donated 12 days after pasteurization when it lasts 21 to 24 days, and those days are not based on science according to the study. So why do we include that in our open letter to schools? The reality is there is a lot of milk that's being wasted according to our stats that we have, so we wanted to include some information about dairy products. So we have a poll question here for everyone, and that is, what does your school do with unopened milk from the tray of students? They have 5 choices, and just let us know. Unfortunately, I can't see the results like Jimmy can, so we'll just
oh, okay. Sorry, John. Well, it looks like I'll come in here and do the horse race announcement for you. It looks like
there you go.
Most schools throw it away unopened or opened, and then the second place winner is placed on share table. So those are 2 top answers.
Thanks, everyone, for giving us your feedback on that. So other hurdles to overcome on the K-12 food rescue front. We hear that students should not be pressured to donate food, and we 100% agree with that sentiment. Rotting food in landfills produces methane gas that's 21 times more harmful to the environment than CO2. And K-12 Food Rescue is a food waste diversion program as promoted to students. While the donation piece is the obvious avenue used to keep the food out of the landfill, kids are not encouraged to donate food, rather to be good stewards of the environment by not feeding landfills. And then there's the famous quote in the food waste space, if food waste were a country, it would be the 3rd largest producer of methane gas in the world. We also hear that the public will misunderstood the food waste and assume that we serve bad food. And our responses to that are that adults in the United States waste 40% of our food that is produced, and students are no different than us. They just reflect our behaviors. So we pose this question to schools. Should we ignore the hungry and potentially harm the environment because people might get the wrong impression? That just doesn't add up. And when we frame the question in that way, it seems to make sense to school districts. The food is really important. Trust us. That's kind of the message that we're sending to our students. But we have no credibility with students if we tell them food has nutritional value and then we teach them to throw it away in its unopened and unpeeled condition. We want students to be thankful, yet we direct them to be unthankful with food. We're creating a credibility gap that is harming our students by teaching them that food is trash. And this is a slide that Jimmy referred to earlier, just that we do have national food waste reduction goals. And since he hit on it, I'm not going to go much further on it. So you can go to the next slide, Jimmy. So at Food Rescue, we believe educating our youngest generation is the key. Our student-led entrepreneurial initiative empowers students to actually be the leaders of K-12 Food Rescue. And we've demonstrated that it's simple enough for a kindergartner to lead. The K-12 Food Rescue student-led entrepreneurial initiative provides the opportunity for students to collect the data, interpret it, take photos, make videos, and tell their story. So you're going to see a picture of a kindergarten class and their free online tool that we provide to track the waste. And this kindergarten class has been a shining star for our student-led entrepreneurial initiative. It just demonstrates that as low as kindergarten level can do this program. And by involving kids, we believe that's really the answer to the school food waste solution and future of food waste solution, frankly. And then it also gives the children an opportunity to use writing skills. These are letters that kids wrote to Food Rescue that we posted on our blog. If people have seen these letters and they've been inspired to start food recovery programs in their schools. So anything that our student-led entrepreneurial initiative groups send us, we post them on our website. I'd like to thank everybody for your time today. And for further information, you can go to the link below, and you'll gain all the resources you need to not only start a K-12 food rescue program, but to engage and empower students as well to spread the message that food is not trash. And you can also email me at jw@foodrescue.net, and I'll answer any questions that you might have. So thank you, everyone.